With me now, Shan Wu. He is a former federal prosecutor and a CNN legal analyst. Good to see you, Shan.
Good to see you, Fred.
So, as it pertains to Reeker's testimony yesterday, and of course we don't know all the details because all of these depositions have been behind closed doors, and perhaps, you know, if not for an opening statement, we have very little knowledge of what's being said. But how might his testimony impact the overall approach to this impeachment inquiry?
Well, I think what's important about his testimony is it's indicating that someone in his position is saying that they were deliberately kept in the dark. And it really goes to this idea that there's been this very deliberate cover-up, and not even a cover-up after the fact, Fred. It's right from the start they wanted to keep this particular strategy that Trump was seeking the Ukraine's help, Giuliani is doing this shadow diplomacy. They wanted to keep all that in the dark, and they wanted to keep people out of the loop who might think that this was not such a good idea.
A federal judge weighed in on Friday saying, you know, this process is legit. House members who are requesting information should be able to receive it, and that any of the grand jury notes from the special counsel's probe should be provided. Explain how this process, this approach to the process, is legit, and that all of the information does not have to be made public, or it does not have to have the same kind of transparency that perhaps one would if there were a final vote from the House.
So the GOP is trying to attack the process, saying that, for example, these depositions are very improper because they're behind closed doors. They've also claimed that it's not really a proper process because there hasn't been a full House vote on the impeachment inquiry. So Judge Howell dismissed that. She said that this is a legitimate impeachment inquiry. They don't need to have the House vote. And also, with regard to the depositions being in private, I think it's important for us all to remember that all depositions tend to be in private. They're not done in public. And here, the Democrats need to conduct things in private because they don't have the benefit of a special counsel like in Nixon or in Clinton that's been working on this secretly the way they normally work on investigations. You don't do them in broad daylight. So the Mueller report was not specifically on Ukraine, obviously, but to the extent it has relevant materials, there's no reason why they shouldn't be made public at this point. And that's the other part of the ruling, allowing those materials now to be turned over. There may be very helpful information in those materials for the impeachment inquiry as well.
Former National Security Advisor John Bolton's attorneys are in talk now about, whether he will possibly testify. Can there be conditions attached to his testimony?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the traditional method of witnesses appearing before Congress or disagreements between the executive branch and Congress is to negotiate, talk it out, figure out the conditions. So it wouldn't be unusual to figure out what conditions Bolton may want, and that would be the norm. What's not the norm anymore is this very extreme position the Trump administration has taken, which is absolutely no one's coming in, there's some immunity, people can't testify at all. That's forcing people to have to go to court, forces the Democrats to go to court, will force witnesses to go to court. And in the long run, that's not a very good idea because we're all going to have to live with those court decisions for a long time to come, Fred.
All right, Shan Wu, always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in this Sunday.
Thanks, Fred.